But the Baker Mayfield component here is interesting. So Baker lost two great offensive coordinators last couple of years. Liam Cohen, he's in first place with the Jags, and Dave Canales, first place with the Panthers. So Baker's always been a great comeback story, but Baker Mayfield is 1-9 in primetime games. He's not Mahomes, Allen, he's not Stafford, he's not that kind of talent. He's very dependent on his coordinator. And what did Tampa do when they lost Liam Cohen? You know what I don't like? They hired a guy who was in-house. Now the offense stinks. Baker didn't get worse. They added Imuka, the receiver from Ohio State. They should be a better offense. And Imuka, they should be a better offense. They're worse, far worse. What did the Eagles do when they lost Kellen Moore? They hired in-house. The Eagles offense, broken. What did the Lions do when Ben Johnson left? Well, let's just hire the guy down the hall. Lions offense is not the same. Tampa Bay did it. Michigan football. Let's replace Harbaugh with a guy down, 2 doors down in the facility. Stop. The NFL is too big of a business to hire proximity. Sometimes it works, but if you lose Ben Johnson, if you're losing Liam Cohen and Dave Canales, who are head coaches, is the guy you give the job to, the in-house guy, is he going to be an NFL head coach someday? So Baker last year, top 5 red zone offense in the NFL. Now they're 22nd. How? They added a great wide receiver. Last year, they were first in the league on third downs. Now they're 18th. Everything has dropped off a map. They were a top 5 offense last year. They add a star receiver out of Ohio State, and now they're a bottom feeder. So I know everybody thinks I'm crazy on this offensive, defensive coach. I think you should hire offensive coaches. I think there are exceptions. And I don't know if Todd Bowles is a great coach. The problem being, if you hire a defensive coach and he does nail it with the OC within a year or two leaves. Then you've got to nail it again. And Todd Bowles went, he nailed it again. And then that guy leaves. Who's going to go 3 for 3 on hiring brilliant offensive coordinators? So Shanahan, Andy Reid, McVay, Sean Payton, they don't have to worry about that as offensive coaches. They know the scheme. They're offensive guys. So that's the danger in a defensive head coach. I like Baker, but Baker's not a great quarterback. He gets hot. He's a streaky quarterback, but he is very reliant on a sharp young coordinator. The Eagles did it. The Buccaneers have done it. The Lions did it. Michigan football has a whole different issues there, but Michigan football did it. The greater the candidate who leaves, the greater the candidate you've got to replace, the wider the search has to be.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Now, I'm sure a lot of you think that I'm going to come out here and dunk on Baker Mayfield, even though I have every right to do that, because all throughout the course of this season, I said, hey, you know what? I don't think Baker Mayfield is as great as people keep trying to say he is. I don't think he's the MVP. He's not better than Josh Allen. And boy, did people just yell at me and rip me and just tell me how much of a clown I am. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. He is the MVP. How dare you? You're just a doubter of the Bucs, and the Bucs are going to the Super Bowl, and Baker's an elite top 5 quarterback, and on and on and on and on. Now, not so much. I also said earlier in the season that before the season even started, that I was concerned with the offensive coordinator hybrid. I said, you're losing Liam Cohen, that's a big deal. Said, no, it doesn't matter. No, Baker is the guy that makes the coordinators. How's Trevor Lawrence and the Jags playing right now? How is Trevor Lawrence and the Jags before Liam Cohen got there? Not good. Now they're top in the NFL. Got it. So, coordinating and coaching matters. Got it. Listen, at this point, there's really only one quarterback who I think has the most resiliency to poor coaching, the one who can do the most without needing a great offensive head coach, coordinator, etc. And that's Josh Allen, because of his absolute versatility of what he can do as a player. Doesn't mean that he can succeed every time. Doesn't mean that he doesn't need a great coach to be maximized, right? To truly fully win at the highest level, to finally get over that hump, to win a super. Needs a great coach. He can't just do it without himself, right? And every other quarterback that I see is really at the mercy, and a lot of times to their quarterback, to their coordinator. And I don't have the clip right now, but Gay Cole, I showed it on an Eagles video where Gay Cole talked about how he's like, we'll see quarterbacks with like great stats or something and a lot of great throws. And he's like, everyone says, oh, wow, that was so great by the quarterback. And he's like, when the reality is that it was really the route concepts. It was the reads were clearly defined and the quarterback was making throws that literally any quarterback should be able to make in the NFL. And you know what he's pretty much saying is that it's the offense that's being run. It's the coaching. It's the play calling, the play designs, like the timing of the playing of the play calling, that it's not always so much on the quarterback. And the problem with Baker is snorts. He thinks he can do more than he can. That's always been Baker's problem. We saw it in this very game. He thinks he can escape from pressure in a way that he just simply can't. I mean, he's trying to pull some Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen moments, and he can do it here and there, and he can do it against lesser defenses, but it got him in trouble big time here. But now, this is where I'll defend Baker, though, too, because Baker's not good enough to have a mess of an O-line and be pressured a lot and be able to overcome it with a high degree of consistency. He does also, and I said this, he puts the ball in harm's way with an incredibly high consistency. He just does. He is consistently at the top of the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. And I always said, listen, just because it wasn't an interception, and that's in the beginning of the season, that's where he was able to be really fortunate. He kept putting the ball in harm's way, but they weren't interceptions. And people would yell at me, be like, oh, it doesn't matter, should have, could have, would have. And it's like, no, it does matter. I just watched last night at like 2 hours in the morning, Kurt Warner break down, all these should have interceptions, not by Baker, by other quarterbacks, because that's what you do with coaching. You say this should have been an interception. Let's talk about why you can't make that throw, or why, you should have thrown to this guy and said, you know what, you should have changed the play, whatever it is. But that's what you do in coaching. That's what you do. You look at the film and you say that should have been an interception. You got lucky. We got to make sure that doesn't happen again. So it's always a conversation. It's always a conversation. And it's just sheer luck when something like that doesn't end up being a turnover. And now it's catching up for him. He has an absolute crushing interception. And you could say that it was a good defensive play, reading Baker's eyes, but the real thing is that he missed Ibuka that would have converted, that would have essentially iced the game and threw it behind him. And that ultimately led to the loss more than anything. And so again, it's not like I put the blame full on the shoulders of Baker. Like, that's truly not what I'm doing here. This initial take in the beginning is more of a rebound effect of all the people that were, like, I think, didn't Nick have Baker at the top of the mountain before, and now he's the MVP, and just all that. And I felt like I was in Bizarro World. And because they're saying like things like oh, you can't have it both ways, where it's like 1 minute you're saying that this team is stacked, that's why they're going to get to the Super Bowl. The next minute you're saying, okay, but they're banged up now, and Baker's carrying this team. Look how amazing he is. And then now being like, well, none of this is Baker's fault. It's Todd BS. It's this, that. And it's just like, well, what are we doing here? What are we saying here? Team easily could have another 2-3 losses here, especially when we look back at how some of those games were won at the beginning of the season. So to me, this team was always overinflated, overvalued. Baker, the Baker hype was a little too loud. I mean, Kirk Cousins played better than him, and no one's going to say that Kirk Cousins has more to work with and has better coaching. His team committed 19 penalties for 125 yards. They were trying to give this game to the Bucs. They went for it for 2-point conversions multiple times. Like, the game should have been tied, and the field goal should have been to win it. Instead, the field goal was to win it, and if not, then they lose. The Atlanta Falcons are a joke in that regard. An absolute joke. I mean, Kirk Cousins threw for 373 yards, And quite frankly, if David Sills catches that ball, it would have been for over 400. Would have been like 430 and 4 touchdowns. So it's just a tough day when Kirk Cousins outplays Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was quite inaccurate yesterday. That is, unfortunately for him, what happened. But again, I know as much as it maybe sounds like I'm really not blaming him. But it all depends on what level of quarterback you think Baker is. If you think Baker was the MVP in the beginning of the season, and if you think Baker's great and elite and not coordinator dependent at all and can overcome injuries and O-lines and this and that, and he's on Josh Allen's level and all that type of stuff, well then you have to give him tremendous blame for this loss. If you think he's on a slightly lower level and that he's not in the category of Josh Allen, then you can give him a lot less blame. And you can blame Todd BS, you can blame the defense, you can blame the run game, the O-line, etc., etc. But I mean, like, even some of these even this box score for Baker was misleading a little bit because you had some wild Mike Evans ripping out some insane catches. Same thing with Ibuka and McMillan. Everyone was getting involved in some pretty insane, spectacular catches. So, I mean, his box score should have been even worse. And the sheer penalties by the Falcons, there was times that Baker got sacked and now it's going to be 3rd and long or something, and it's like, oh, penalty automatic, 1st down. One of the touchdowns, maybe even 2 of them, were directly because of penalties, and it's like, what are you doing? They're either going to kick a field goal or maybe even now be out of field goal range. So there's a real possibility that this game Baker doesn't have any touchdowns, or maybe just at least 1 less. But the penalties were insane. Absolutely, positively insane. They had 7 first downs from penalties. 7. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. So it's a rough one. But they're still in a position to win the division. Still in a position to take down the Panthers. Mike Evans looked great. Hopefully he's still kind of healthy. He was kind of getting banged up through the course of the game. Every time he hit the ground, you're just like, oh, please, man, please get up. Please get up. But I mean, you know, he comes back, 6 catches, 132 yards. I mean, that guy is just a dude. Yeah. Just unfortunate situation for the Bucs right now. Things seemingly, seem to be catching up with them. As it happens late in the season, things are catching up with the Eagles. Everything caught up with the Chiefs. Reality is sitting for the Cowboys. Trying to think of any other good teams out there that reality might set for the Panthers. That's the reality. I mean, who are the Panthers right now? I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. But this was actually a good game. It was a fun game to watch, but also pretty infuriating with all the penalties, because you're just watching that many penalties is brutal. But I do think Baker Mayfield made some nice plays, made some nice throws. But that's what I largely see Baker as, a quarterback who can make some really nice throws, some really bad ones. He can make some game-winning throws, and he can make some brutal game-winning, game-losing throws. And sometimes he tries to do too much, and if things aren't great around him, it's hard for him to reliably carry a team. Can he carry a team? If Josh Allen can carry a team 60% of the time, Baker Mayfield can do it 20% of the time. And that's just kind of the levels that I see it right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Bucs? How much of this loss is on Baker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.